Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the world-famous Adventurers Club of Los Angeles. Thank you all very much for coming. What a great audience we have here tonight. And I'm joined tonight by my wife, Barbara Lawler, who will be moderating, making sure I say the right things and everything. And my name is Michael Lawler, past president of the Adventurers Club, member number 1195. Barbara is number 1245, one of the first 5 females of the Adventurers Club of Los Angeles. Yeah. So thank you all very much for coming. I see a lot of old friends here, John and Dick, and a lot of sailors in the crowd here, a couple of Transpac veterans. So thank you all very much for coming. This will be a lot of fun for me to give this presentation here. How many people here know what a Transpac race is?
Wow.
Well, for those of you who don't, let me just summarize it by saying it's one of the top 5 ocean races of the world. It's held every 2 years on the odd years. It's a 2,225-mile open ocean blue water race from Los Angeles to Honolulu. It typically takes a couple of weeks. The fastest boat is about 5 days. The longest, slowest boat is maybe 17, 18 days. So it depends on how fast your boat is and what kind of winds you have that year. It's the oldest, most prestigious yacht race in the world. It's 119 years old, and this past July was the 53rd running of the Transpacific Yacht Club, of the race to Honolulu.
Okay, sweetie, so here you are. It's Hula Girl, the Santa Cruz 50, and I had a little FOMO. I didn't get to go. How'd you get to go?
Well, I wasn't really planning on going. Now, this is my 8th Transpac. The 7th one was in 2019, and I thought I was hanging it up. I didn't think I was going to do another Transpac. But this opportunity presented itself. My brother was all set to go on Hula Girl, and at the last minute, he had to cancel. And he says, Michael, you want to take my spot? I had 2 weeks' notice. I said, of course. I mean, how are you going to turn down a Transpac race? So, yeah,
okay.
I was very happy to do it. It was exciting. It was what we call a walk-on and walk-off cruise spot. I've done Transpac 3 times on our own boat, and I know how much work it is to own a boat and get it ready for Transpac. It's a ton of work, takes a ton of time, costs a ton of money too. And so this was really a golden opportunity, not have to worry about anything. Just the day before the race, you step on the boat and you go to Honolulu. When you get there, you step off and start the party and not have to worry about a thing. So that was great.
So there's Steve and you, and as
Yeah.
he said, you walk on, walk off.
Yeah, Steve, thank you for coming down. We had a lot of family and friends come out to the start of the race at the Cabrillo Beach Yacht Club area, and then out to, Rich, you were there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And there was maybe about 40 or 50 spectator boats. We had the fireboat throwing up a bunch of water, helicopters overhead. It was really quite a show. A great, great way to send off the starters. We had 3 different starts, 53 boats in the race. So it was kind of like a pursuit race where the slowest boats start first. Let's say, I think there were 17 or 18 boats in the first start, which was on July 1st. Then 2 days later, the middle boats start. There was another 20 boats. That's where the Santa Cruz 50s, that's where we started with Hula Girl. And then 2 days later was the fastest boats. These were the Santa Cruz 70s and bigger. And so those boats, even though they started later, most of them finished first. They finished ahead of the slower boats. The idea with this kind of 3 different starts and a pursuit race was that all the boats would kind of finish kind of close together, and that way it's a little more fun for everybody to be at the yacht clubs after the race for the trophy presentations.
Okay, so let's head back. Tell us about the crew here.
Yeah, so
Be kind to Mark, because he's in the audience.
Oh, yeah. Mark was my, not just a crewmate, but a bunkmate. So we had a hot bunk, which means that we're sharing one bunk for the whole 12-day race. So when Mark is sleeping, I'm driving the boat, and then it's my turn to go off watch, And I go, Mark, you're up. And I dive into his bunk, and he gets up and drives the boat. So that's called hot bunking.
Who
Mark's
else
the guy
was on the crew?
Yeah, we had 9 in the crew. The owner was Wayne, a very good sailor, lots of experience. This was his 14th Transpac on Hula Girl alone. I think he's done 20 altogether. So he really knows the boat and how to get to Honolulu. We had 2 other pros, are called coaches. That's what they wanted to be called. And then the 6 of us were what we call guest passengers. So we had to pay to play, so to speak. In other words, we were paying to help share in the cost of getting the boat ready, new sails, bringing the boat back, all the expenses that go into a Transpac race. So we had 2 female crew members and 4 male. That's the crew right there.
Some pros. Okay. So there's the fireboat you were talking about at the start. And we brought Traveler up the night before because, as Michael said, you walk on, walk off. So we brought the boat up and the very next day.
Traveler, by the way, is a Northwind 47. Barbara was driving Traveler with some friends like Rich and a few others. Steve was there. And we had about, I don't know, 8 or 9 people or so.
Yep.
Trish, were you on board there? No? Okay. So, but the idea is that you want to have your family and friends on the boat, wishing you well, coming out to see the start of the race, cheering you on. So that was a lot of fun to see that.
So this is the very first time they even put up the main. They had no practice sails before.
Yeah, think about that. So normally you earn your way on a boat for Transpac by proving you're worthy, by racing on the boat, by doing all the chores, getting the boat ready, and maybe 20 or more practice races together as a crew, so you're really together. This was a whole different program. The first time that we sailed together as a crew was the very start of the race. The first time we put the sails up even was just before we started this race.
Tell us about the interior, because it's looking pretty bare.
Yeah, so this is what you call a quarter berth on the port side, behind the head and underneath the cockpit. So this is actually 2 bunks. There's a lee cloth in between the 2 bunks, and the one bunk has 2 reaching struts in it. So they had to share their bunk. The 2 girls were assigned to this bunk. So the 2 girls were on opposite watches, hot bunking in this cramped little space, and they had to share that space with a couple of reaching struts. Here's the main cabin looking forward. You can see the mast on the left side and a couple of the bunks. Not a lot of headroom, and it was quite Spartan, you might say. Not a very comfortable cruising boat.
So like I said, I really had FOMO, fear of missing out, until I went down below before they left the dock. And I went, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, it's quite different from Traveler. So this was the head. You can see there's some blue tape across the sink. That means it doesn't work. The head, the toilet is on the right there. It was a hand pump deal. There's no shower on board. So the owner made a really big deal out of no toilet paper even down the toilet. You know, you got to put the toilet paper in a paper bag and throw it overboard. So, of course, one of the female crews didn't hear that or didn't understand it or forgot or something like that. First day out.
The women always get blamed for
big
that.
wad of toilet paper down.
It's so unfair.
Jammed up the toilet. So the toilet didn't work
Could have been one
starting
of the
at day
guys.
1.
Could have been a guy.
But the owner had to take it all apart and fix it. She later confessed and said she was sorry. Yeah. So this is our galley. Look at how Spartan this is. So we had a couple of burners, propane burners, and a tea kettle. That was it. So if you wanted to cook a meal, you did it for yourself. It was freeze-dried. You get the water boiling, and you pour it into the pouch. Ultra light, not a lot of extras. We had a snack drawer with some candy bars and power bars, cookies, and that kind of stuff.
I thought I had snuck on the watermelon, which is a lot of weight. It weighs a pound or 2.
A watermelon this big.
So they immediately got rid of the.
Well, the owner's saying, "Wait a minute, who brought that? The watermelon has too much weight." Are you kidding me? It weighs about 2 pounds. Come on. I go, well, eat it the first day, okay? And he goes, all right, eat it the first day, then it's all right. So that's how weight conscious they were about everything. So here I am in the boat. You can see there's hardly any headroom. That's the mast. That's the bunk just off my right elbow there. That was our bunk. Then behind me, forward of the boat, is where we'd keep the sails. So we had a full inventory of sails. I think 4 spinnakers, a blast reacher, and 3 different staysails too. This
Tell
is
us
our
about
watch
this.
schedule.
Yep.
So remember I told you there's the owner and 2 pros and then the other 6 of us. So this is the watch schedule just for the 6 of us. If it's marked in gray, that means you're on watch. So you start off when you come up, you're 3 hours on and 3 hours off. 3 hours on, 3 hours off for 12 days. So you never really get any deep good night's sleep. When you're on watch, the first hour you spend trimming the jib or the spinnaker. The second hour, they figure, well, you're well enough awake now because you've been trimming the sail for an hour. So now you're driving the boat. And an hour driving the boat, it's really exhausting. Normally, we're used to like half-hour watches on the wheel, where you're on for a half an hour, off for a half hour, on half hour. This is on for a full hour. And I got to say, you are just exhausted because you're constantly working that wheel. The waves are kicking your ass, trying to get you crooked, and you're just constantly bringing it back. So after driving for an hour, then you're grinding for an hour. So the grinder is a coffee grinder that helps pull in the winch so that the guy who's trimming the sail just kind of has a light control on the sheet. So you're trimming, driving, grinding, and then you're off watch. And you go down and you wake up your bunkmate, you say, hey, your watch, get up. And you just dive in for your bunk because you're so tired. So this is the start of the race. We're all pretty excited about it. Got our matching red hats there. We had a pretty good start. About a minute into the start here. Kazan's up ahead.
Everybody out.
It's okay. And here's some of the other boats.
Michael.
Yeah, be right there. The owner, Wayne, had the wheel at the very start, and then he handed off to me. So I got to drive for the first hour at the start of the race, and I got to drive also at the finish. So that was nice.
But I just can't imagine. I've done 6 Transpac to go onto a boat for a 12 to 14 day race and to have never raised the mainsail before you start. So we'll have some talk about that at the end, but yeah. What's going on here? You look kind of cold.
The first 2 nights were very cold and hardly any wind. I don't know if you can see how calm the sea is in the background there. It was cold. It was like in the, I think, mid to low 50s or so, which is really cold for being in July. And then plus you have the wind chill. So that wind just sucks all, any heat out. So we were layered up. I think I had 3 or 4 layers on, plus full foul weather gear, a beanie, and the hood up also. Sometimes you're wearing gloves even. Beautiful sunrises and sunsets. But you look at the water, it's really pretty calm. So this was a bit of a disappointment. We were hoping for a good breeze the whole way, and the first 2 nights, very slow. In fact, the worst thing you can see is when the knot meter reads your boat speed is 0.00. We weren't even doing 1/100th of a knot. All we could do is we're like trying to just keep the boat headed in the direction of Honolulu, so when the wind comes up, we'd catch the breeze and go. So we found there was a big hole. A hole means just a big area of dead wind, no air. And all of us were in the hole, but for some reason, Hula Girl found the hole within a hole. So we were just like stuck. And we could see the other boats kind of like, they caught a little breeze and they're just taking off. So
Michael was able to call me on Starlink. It was on like 15 minutes a day. And he said, guess what? We're going swimming.
Yeah,
not what you want to hear.
That's not a good sign when you decide to go for a swim during a Transpac race. But eventually the wind picked up. The second 2 days were pretty rough, like this. Look how rough that is. So, yeah, it was just, Mark, you remember how rough it was, huh? It was, those are called lee cloths so that you don't get thrown out of your bunk when you're trying to sleep, because it's really quite wild. One of the other crew members, John Sangmeister, during this kind of rough stretch of water, he was actually going to the bathroom, I heard, on the head when they hit a big wave. He was thrown across the boat so hard that he broke 3 ribs. One of his broken ribs punctured his lung, a pneumothorax. They had to turn around, retire from the race. They motored back to Avalon, got him to a hospital. They said it's so serious, they flew him by helicopter to UCLA Medical Center.
Did any other boats retire from the race?
Yeah, there were 3 other boats that did not make it. Out of the 53 boats that started, 4 did not make it. So one was John Sangmeister's boat. The other was Ragtime. They had a female crew member who had some medical issue, and it was serious enough that they had to fly a Coast Guard helicopter out, and she had to get off the boat into the water. They lowered a basket. She got in the basket, up the helicopter, and they flew her to Scripps, San Diego. 2 other boats, it wasn't an injury, but it was damage to the boat. They
Rudder
had
bearing?
a rudder bearing that was just working its way. They were worried that it was going to be a problem and maybe sink, but they managed to limp back to port. And another one also had another rudder problem. Rudder problems are quite common. It's surprising. I've had, in my 8 Transpacs, I've had rudder failure 3 times. Wow. Yeah. Where, and it's always something different. But each time we've managed to fix it underway and continue on and finish the race.
So here you guys are all together in the cockpit, which is very rare. So it must be a special occasion. But also everybody in the audience, look at the background. Look how flat it is. There are no big swells to be surfing down, which is everyone's dream when you're driving. You're on the helm, you want to surf that wave down and come up.
This was what we call a halfway party. It's a time to celebrate, get all the crew up. It's early afternoon. You bring out a bottle of rum. You get the speaker, you put on some music. You tell some stories and sing some songs and have some fun. So we're passing the bottle around. But the whole time we're still racing, the spinnaker's up. You can see one guy, I think it's John, on the wheel there. And but it was a moment of having some fun.
Looks like Mark's trimming there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he calls me and he goes, "We're dreaming of Mocha Loco. We're dreaming of cold beers." And I said, "Well, I have a Mocha Loco for you, and I'll have a cold beer for you." That helps.
Yeah.
But they were just dreaming of the meals they wanted to have.
But the reality was we had freeze-dried backpackers meal out of a bag like this, ultra lightweight. This is a pad thai meal, which was kind of popular. That's actually one of the better tasting ones.
Ooh,
the others
fine
were
everything.
just not too good.
And how many nights did you have freeze-dried dinner?
Every night.
Every night.
But we had enough food we were expecting 9.5, maybe 10 days, so we had food for 11 days. It was actually a 12-day race, so we started having to ration food. When we finished the race for 9 people, we had in our top drawer, I think all the food we had left was 6 power bars. Mm. So we kind of cut it close.
Well, that's looking pretty yummy, I'm sure.
So this was interesting. Sea life. We saw whales, pilot whales, right off Catalina. And then about 3 or 4 days out, we saw a sperm whale. Pretty exciting. And then I think this was about 4 days out. This is a brown-footed booby that circled the boat, I think, for a full day until it got up its courage and then landed on the spinnaker pole here. And then hitchhiked for, I think, a couple of days more.
That's looking pretty nice, but again, not a lot of waves.
Yeah, so one of the things about Transpac is they try to schedule it around the full moon. A setting full moon is really a big, big bonus, especially if you're driving at night. Why? Because it just lights up the sky. Look at that. We call that driving the silver highway there. And the cool thing is that as the moon's setting, it's nearly exactly on the heading that you want to steer for Honolulu. So you don't have to look at your instruments. You just see that big, beautiful moon, and you steer for it. It really makes fun night sailing on Transpac.
Okay, so thinking that they're going to get there in 9.5 days, I flew over on, the 7th day and ended up hanging around a lot. I was looking for them, beautiful. Here's a Transpac boat finishing, but it's not Michael. And here's nighttime from my hotel room. Party Island is up there on the left side. It's open 24 hours a day. I began to volunteer there because when every sailor gets in after they get inspected, they want a burger, Kahlua pig, they want a Mai Tai. So this Party Island, upper mid left side, is open 24 hours and just to service the sailors. So it was actually a very good time. But also while I was waiting for him, I was like, where's Hula Girl? So describe YB races.
Yeah, so this is new this year for Transpac. What they did was every boat has to have a YB tracker. So this is like a transponder that sends a signal up to a satellite, and it relays out. And then every boat is color coordinated for the whole race. And then it's got your track. So you can see exactly where you are on the race course in relation to the other boats. All the boats in the whole start, plus just the ones in your class. You can see where and when the boats jibed, for instance. And also, all the boats now have Starlink. So how many are familiar with what Starlink is? Yeah, you guys know. So it's a real game changer for communications on boats when you're offshore like this, because you have the internet. You can send and receive emails instantly. You can send videos even. You could download and watch movies if you wanted to. But you can get instant weather, but you also are able to get YB tracker or yellow brick, so you know exactly where all the other boats are. It's kind of fun to keep track, and you can see how you're doing in the race compared to your the other boats in your class.
So I hiked up Diamond Head to look at the finish line. I'm still looking for Michael. You got to be there. So the finish line is this lighthouse, and then on the other side of the reef there is a red bell buoy, so they draw a line. There's somebody in that lighthouse. You have to do a 100-mile call-in and then a 25-mile call-in. So people are up there in the lighthouse doing the stopwatch thing right when you cross the finish line. So that's from the top of Diamond Head looking down. And here's me. I've learned to core pineapple. I cored probably 50 pineapples.
What do you mean core a pineapple? How do you do that?
It's like a corkscrew. Just goes in, and you can do 10 in about 10 minutes. So it's
And then you fill it up with Mai Tais.
Well, you put the solo cup in and then fill it up with Mai Tais and ice, yeah.
That works.
Yeah, and I learned to make Mai Tais by the 5-gallon jug.
5-gallon jug of Mai
Yeah,
Tai.
so I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And we poured a lot of Mai Tais for a lot of sailors.
Great.
And here's the gang.
So we're approaching the Molokai Channel. So this is the channel between the islands of Oahu and Molokai, these two big land masses. The wind that's coming all the way across the trade winds, they hit these islands and they come together. So it's an acceleration zone or convergence zone of all this wind. It's normally blowing 25 to 30, maybe gusts to 35. What you want, this is what you want, this is what you hope for. You want a really big, windy, fast finish for Transpac. You can see the wind on the water there. It's more like 15 or so, maybe 18 knots. But we're excited because we can see the island now. We can start to smell the pineapples. We changed and we all wear matching shirts. That is right next to the wind channel in that picture is Cocoa Head. Just behind me is Makapu Point. So we're getting close to the finish line off Diamond Head.
Was the Molokai Channel everything that you expected, or was it still kind of calm?
It was kind of calm. Look at the water there. There's not even any whitecaps.
Yeah.
So that part was a little bit disappointing.
Every boat I greeted at the finish line, they said it was a calm year, not a lot of wind. So, unfortunately. But they're looking good at the finish line.
So
see the red bell buoy?
That's Hula Girl with the red bell buoy, which is the finish line. So that power boat that's just behind us is the photographer's boat. And you'll see the photo that he took just as we're crossing the finish line coming up here in a minute. it's a thrill to be at the wheel, especially, but anybody, any crew position on the boat. It's just very, very exciting to complete a Transpac race, cross that finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing feeling. By the way,
Lighthouse in Waikiki. Here is the buoy.
yeah, this is the red buoy finish here.
12 days.
This video, Mark, you might have taken this video, did you?
Video. And at the helm, the iconic photo.
So, sleep or lack thereof is a very important part of this race, because even though you have autopilot on the boat, you're not allowed to use it. Even though you have an engine, you're not allowed to put it in gear. You can run the engine just to charge the battery. Yeah, there's the finish line. Yahoo!
Right. Hula Girl.
Somebody left me hanging there on my high five. So just and there's the photo that the guy in the photo boat took. Isn't that a great shot? So just to give you an example of how tired you get and what it does to your thinking and how it affects your performance, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days into a race without really any good night's sleep. So we're about 2 days out, and I do the math and I figure out that we're going to finish between 11 and 11:30 in the morning. Actually, we finished at 11:19, so I was pretty close. And then I added, that's great because it'll be a daytime finish, which is great for the photos. And then I thought about it, I go, I've done now 8 Transpacs, and all 8 have been a daytime finish, which is really remarkable. It's like flipping a coin and having it come up heads 8 times in a row. It just really doesn't happen. A lot of other boats, they've had 4 or 5 Transpacs. They're all nighttime finishes, and they never get this photo. So one of the crew members, she's thinking about it. She's a little tired, and she's like, daytime finish? I go, yeah. Well, what would the alternative be? I go, that would be a nighttime finish. Yeah.
And a friend of ours has done Transpac on Grand Illusion, another Santa Cruz 52.
70.
70.
Yeah.
Oh, and they've never finished during the daytime. Is that the boat they went out the next day and hired the helicopter to do a daytime photo shoot because they've only arrived at nighttime? So.
Yeah.
Tell us about this picture, because this is going to live on into perpetuity.
Yeah, so this is that same photographer taking a picture of us as we're crossing the finish line. And you can see right in front of us is another boat. That's a Cal 40 named Nalu 5, also from Newport Beach. And they finished just about 8 boat lengths ahead of us, which is really remarkable to have 2 boats in Transpac finish that close to each other. But that's what you want with this kind of staggered starts. So the thing is, the Cal 40 was on the first start on July 1st. We started 2 days later on July 3rd. So it gives you an idea of how these faster boats, a 50-foot boat matches up with a 40-foot boat by about 2 days of separation. So that was a really good example of how that staggered start works.
And also, if you see the power boat off the port side of Hula Girl, that's called a Follow Me boat. And I've been out on the Follow Me boats in years past. Mm-hmm. It's really exciting, but they go out to the Red Bill buoy and greet the boat. Besides the photography boat, it's the Follow Me boat with a big sign that says Follow Me. Because you've been at sea, you're dead tired, you've done like surfing down the Molokai Channel, which is at the end just puts you on, your pins and needles. You're exhausted, you're just feeling it, you're here, you can smell the island. You take your spinnaker down, you have to turn into the wind, take your main down, furl the jib, and you don't know where to go. You're kind of like, where do I go? What does it look like? Maybe you've never done it before. So you follow the Follow Me boat. And that boat guides you in 24 hours a day, daytime, nighttime. It's all a volunteer position. They have 3 Follow Me boats, and you follow them right to your slip, which is just an amazing thing. And great,
yeah, it's about
volunteers.
50% courtesy and about 50% safety, because everybody's really exhausted, and if you don't know exactly where to go, you could end up on the reef. One boat, I think it was magnitude 80, about was it about 20 years ago? They got a little confused. It was a nighttime finish, and they ended up on the shore side of the red buoy. The red buoy's there to mark the edge of the reef. So they ended up going aground, and from there, they walked off the boat across the reef onto the land. Yeah, that was pretty sad. And it was just before the finish, too. They didn't even get the finish.
Do we have sound on this, Phoebe?
So this is, we're coming into the Alawai Yacht Harbor at Waikiki, approaching the Hawaii Yacht Club. They do a fabulous job of welcoming all of the sailors as they come in.
So it's always Hawaii 5-0 for every boat, and then you get to choose your second song. Yeah, and
But they
here
call
are.
out everybody on the boat by name. They got a loudspeaker, and it's fun. There's probably, I don't know, at least 20 people there, minimum, day or night, sometimes as many as 100 people, cheering wildly, making you feel like you're a rock star. And it's just a great welcome feeling for coming in on Transpac. So here we are. We just tied up. We've got all our crew together. We got our leis and Mai Tais. Yay!
Woo.
Posing for the picture.
And
Yeah.
nobody can get close to them for the first 20 minutes. The boat has to be inspected. One year we were inspected for trash, that we had enough trash for the 8 people for how many days, because they wanted, it was just what they were focused on that
One
year.
of the
that you didn't
sailing
throw it into
instructions
the water,
is you
know?
can't throw your trash overboard if unless it's biodegradable.
So you get inspected. One boat had gone into their emergency water because their water maker had broke it, so they were honest and emailed. Well, that caused this whole report that had to be written to make sure that nobody was harmed in the passage of, the boat to Hawaii. So everything changes every year, how much reporting you have to do. Your guys was pretty quick, though, I think.
So anyway, we got through the inspections, and then our family and friends, Barbara was there at the dock, greeting all of us with her recently freshly cored pineapple with the Mai Tai
Yeah, good
and the
times.
flower leis and everything. And I tell you, that's what every sailor wants after 12 days at sea, is to be properly Mai Tai'd and laid at the dock.
Right. And this is Party Island. And here we are. I'm happy to see my Captain Honey Bunny
Yeah.
right there.
Sporting a
Us-
little bit of a beard there.
Yeah, you are. I got the plastic pineapple. I don't know. So what's going on here?
So this is one of the first parties at the Hawaii Yacht Club. So there's 3 yacht clubs on the Honolulu side that host parties. The Hawaii Yacht Club, Waikiki Yacht Club, they're right across from each other. And then over on the windward side, the Kaneohe Yacht Club. So for the 3 starts, each of the 3 starts is assigned to one of the 3 yacht clubs, and the parties are a night apart. So you can go to parties nonstop, and everybody is welcome up on the stage. They call you up one at a time. They give you a little participation trophy here. Even if you didn't win first, second, or third, you still got this little paperweight or chart weight,
Chart weight.
commemorating your Transpac. And then they have, some Tahitian dancing and some hula dancing, fireworks show, lots of Mai Tais. Oh, so this is one of the things I was dreaming about, is the Outrigger Canoe Club. How many people have been to the Outrigger Canoe Club? You know what I'm talking about. It's a beautiful place right there at the under Diamond Head at the south end of Waikiki Beach. Oh, so finally we find some wind. Where are we? At the Polly Lookout, yeah.
Lots
Got some
of wind.
breeze there.
Lots of wind. Where are we now?
We kind of a tradition for us when we go to Honolulu, we like to hike up to the top of Diamond Head and look down. So you can see in the distance right above Barbara's head there is the white lighthouse, which is marks one end of the finish line for Transpac. And this is at the Yacht Club too, celebrating. More fire dancing. That's at the Waikiki Yacht Club. This is a sample showing of some of the trophies that are handed out. So of the 53 boats, probably 20 of them maybe won some kind of a trophy. So they have first, second, and third. They have a navigator's trophy. They have the fastest cruising boat. They have the last to finish. They have the boat that sails the highest north. There's a bunch of trophies.
Media trophy.
Yeah.
Sends in video every day of life on board.
Yeah.
Here's the bottle of liquor.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. This race was sponsored
Mount
by Mount Gay, and so all the boats got. If you finished first, second, or third, you also got a full quart of.
So who is this?
This
I
is-
did not core that pineapple. See the solo cup sitting up?
Yeah, that
That's
core was a little
wrong.
bit short there.
My
right?
solo cup was flush with that pineapple.
So this is a great story. This is Allie Bell from San Diego racing her Cal 40. The boat is 60 years old, using secondhand sails. It had the lowest rating of all 53 boats in Transpac, meaning it was supposed to be the slowest boat. She ended up getting first overall on corrected time. And she was the first female in the history of Transpac, first female skipper to win first overall. So it's a huge, huge deal for her. She's also the third generation Transpac veteran. Her father and grandfather was in this race. And she's also the vice commodore or rear commodore for Transpacific Yacht Club. So she's going to be commodore of the whole thing in a couple of years. There's her boat, Restless, out of San Diego. The Barn Door Trophy. So it's called the Barn Door Trophy because it's about as big as this, well, not quite, but it's a big trophy. And it's awarded each year, the Transpac is raced, to the boat who is first to finish. So they're not looking at corrected time. They go the first boat to finish in the fastest elapsed time. This year it went to, look at that boat. This is called Lucky. It's an 88-foot boat, all professionally crewed. For the navigator, they had Stan Honey, who's won this race about 10 times, probably the best navigator in the world. Right there, they're doing probably 25 knots or so.
You want to talk about the reaching strut out there?
Yeah, so if you look on the side of the photo outside, there's a strut that comes out, and there's a line that goes from that up to the top of the mast, and it adds a little extra strength to the mast. It's like an extra stay. And there's a question about whether or not that was legal. The rules aren't real clear. So the boat that came in second saw this picture and said, I don't think that's legal, and they filed a protest. If the protest was heard and approved, Lucky would be disqualified or penalized by coming down a place, and the other boat would have won. But the race committee, they disqualified the protest on procedural grounds because it wasn't timely. So we'll never know if it was, what is a little question mark, little asterisk about Lucky's win here. That
This
reaching strut off to the side gives the boat a little bit of an advantage, and there's a question of whether or not the rules allow it.
There's actually a reaching strut on starboard that you can't see. It's blocked by the wave. And what it does is, see, it's got 3 head sails up. So it helps to trim when you have multiple head sails. How do you run all the rigging? So it's starting to be more competitive. I've seen it in Europe, but it wasn't cleared yet for Transpac.
But look at that wave they're taking on there in the spray. So this is just past the finish line. They've already got their 2 staysails furled, and they're approaching the Alawai Yacht Harbor here. This is Hula Girl at the finish line, so that's a great photo. This was taken by a drone. Love that shot. Isn't that great? Yeah, that's the money shot. Thank goodness we had a daylight finish, huh?
That's it?
Yeah. So we have this video here. This is a little
Do we
video
have
that Barbara and
time?
I put together. No, just kidding.
No.
Yeah, go ahead, start it.
Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's turn the volume up, please, a little bit.
Every 2 years, a rare kind of journey begins. From the edge of the continent to the heart of the Pacific, sailors set out on one of the world's oldest and most legendary ocean races, the Transpac. First run in 1906, the course stretches over 2,200 miles from Los Angeles to Honolulu, a test of seamanship, endurance, and spirit. No land in sight, minimal room for error, just wind, swell, and the deep pulse of the Pacific. For those bold enough to answer the call, it's more than a race. It's a rite of passage.
We're here in San Pedro at the start of Transpac 2025, and we're super stoked to be here. This is my first Transpac, and I think just the whole experience we're really looking forward to. 10 days of downwind sailing in some of the best conditions in the world. It's a treat, so we're just going to try and be present and enjoy.
Doing ocean crossing is something that we have dreamt of all the time. When you do a Transpac, it's not like when you do a cross-Atlantic sailing where you can actually go close to islands. When you leave Catalina, there's only Hawaii coming up. So it's going to be really exciting after a week of sailing to finally meet some islands and see that.
It's so special to be here in California for the Transpac, specifically because we're all from the Midwest and we're bringing with us a lot of experience from the Great Lakes. On Andreas, 4 out of the 7 of us are women, 3 out of the 7 of us are under the age of 35, so it's a really fun team dynamic. We're really lucky to have so many badass women on this crew. We're really excited to learn about, the trade winds and how they work out on the water, and to also see so much ocean wildlife. It's always exciting when we see sea lions and dolphins and sharks, and that will never not be fun, even 14 days in.
I've never been to Hawaii, so sailing up to it is going to be pretty cool, and I'm excited because I feel like I'm on the precipice of a really big event in my life, and so just figuring out and learning and doing the reflection is something I'm excited for.
I mean, this is a tradition for Transpac, right? Going around Catalina. That's the start. You get all the hoopla, you get to see all your old friends. So, there's a lot of people that have been here through the ages, and it's just great to see them, and then all the new faces, getting to know them. Hopefully I have something to share with the rest of the team that haven't done it as much, and I always get back something from the younger generations. Even if they think I know it all, they know so much that I'm always getting something back, and that's what I love.
86% of any Transpac is won before you leave the dock. And all the crews know that the preparation is so important. But when you see them on the start line today, you're gonna see a lot of smiles, because all of a sudden that pressure that builds within you, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do an ocean race. It's an emotion that you can't experience unless you've done it.
I'm really excited just to make that turn downwind, just point straight at Hawaii and see what happens. And just the feeling of being out there and you and your crew sailing fast.
The sail across from Long Beach to Honolulu is absolutely beautiful. I mean, you get 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 sunsets and sunrises. It's so beautiful. The swells and the sea life, almost every moment you're looking at the sun or the moon or the waves and you're like, oh, this is beautiful, I want to share this. And so I tried to capture almost every moment. I had a Insta360 camera going like almost nonstop.
My favorite part about open ocean sailing is just getting into the routine of the watch system, having that small talk on deck for the long hours at night. Really sailing at night is awesome too, and then seeing land is always a great feeling.
First starlit night was the last night of the trip. The moon was down, the stars were out, so it was great to see the Milky Way. And then some days where the little bit of haze, so it wasn't too warm, and just riding the wind all the way down.
This is my 8th race. Okay, so this is not my first rodeo. I thought this one was very interesting, probably the most strategic chess match we've had because of the weather. The weather was very interesting, and it had everybody confounded at some point in the race. And then the other thing is it's the longest single stretch of water in the world. And so therefore it's kind of a challenge to say, okay, I crossed the big pond. But no matter what, when you're at sea for that many days, then you're really being tested to your limits. Whatever's in here, everybody sees. Everybody knows what you are by the end of the day. And this is the one event where every one of those people, whether you win, lose, draw, or whatever, you're so proud to be part of that contingent that puts it all out on the race course.
Transpac is the greatest race in the whole world. You know, you start in California, which is great, and you finish in paradise in Hawaii. Surfing down the Molokai Channel is wonderful. I mean, it's the whole reason you do it is to come out for a ride like that. Sun, the water, the islands, it's just fabulous. My grandfather did this race in 1928, and I grew up with this in my blood.
You know, this morning, started approaching Molokai Channel, and we had some really good breeze. We kind of hit our boat record of 19.5 knots. Just on the last leg coming to the final mark, we were surfing down at about 16 knots, you know, dead downwind. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's the kind of thing that makes you forget all the other stuff, and you go, I'll do that again, you know.
Transpac is the race. Coming into Honolulu, Hawaii is absolutely the most magical. I've done a lot of ocean races all over the world.
I've got guys who've sailed around the world 5 times on boats. And of all the finishes they've done and all the places they've done, they still talk about this one. So that's pretty impressive. The air is soft, the smells are amazing, and the visuals are just outstanding.
Oh my gosh, the arrival is fantastic. The weather is great, the people are amazing. They've thought of every detail after all these years of putting on the Transpacs, and mentoring younger sailors is a two-way street. I definitely learned as much from them as they learned from me.
I got to sail one of the most amazing oceans in the world on a fast and cool boat. So I would say it was a really incredible experience. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have been able to participate and really excited to explore Hawaii.
When you're here, there is no guarantee at all that you're going to do well. You're going to be humbled many times, and then that one time you might get lucky and you may get across that finish line first. That's a dream for pretty much every racing sailor in the world, to do this at least once, and once they have, they keep coming back because it's an amazing race. The other thing that makes Transpac so incredible is the race committees on both ends. They start preparing this race the minute that the last one ended 2 years ago.
There are so many things that make Transpac a special regatta. There's no other race in the world where you arrive to an island environment greeted by volunteers 24/7, no matter what time of day or night you arrive. They put a pineapple with a Mai Tai in your hand, a lei around your head, and celebrate with a full party for the entire crew. We've been running this race since 1906, 119 years, 53 races. We've had lots of women skippers. This is the first time we've ever had a woman win the overall corrected trophy. It's really an amazing feat. But of equal importance is the fact that what it says to all of us is that you don't have to have the Grand Prix racing yacht. Anybody can win this race. And Allie's demonstrated that no matter what kind of boat you have, a well-prepared, well-sailed boat has a chance to win this race and makes 2025 one for the history books.
I just took my Cal 40 Restless on a sail across the ocean with 4 of my friends and family members. We won our division, we won overall, and I believe I'm the first female skipper to win Transpac overall, which is a special place in history to be. I just didn't think it would turn out like this in my wildest dreams, so I'm really lucky, happy. And there were 5 of us on the boat, but there's a whole community of people, present and past, who pulled us through and made our journey the success it was. I just am so grateful to all the volunteers and all the other sailors and everybody who worked so hard to make the Transpac Race the iconic yacht race that it is. And I hope that everybody who has even a little bit of a dream to go do it figures out how to get it done. And who knows, you could wind up here with a beautiful Cal 40 and a bunch of ways having just one Transpac.
Wow. Yeah. In conclusion, I want to say that winning a Transpac, winning a trophy in Transpac is a huge, huge deal for any sailor. But I got to say that I won a trophy even better than the Bond d'Or. 20 years ago, I met Barbara on a Transpac race. She's my trophy right here. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
He was on one boat, I was on the other boat. Michael kept walking by every night at 10 o'clock and going, "Hi, do you need help with that lock?" And I go, "No." And then he walked by the next, "Are you sure you don't need help with that lock?" "No." And then the next morning I popped up and I was like, I got to get to the other side of the island to get to that party. And he was 10 feet in front of me. If he would have been 10 feet behind me, I never would have met him. And he goes, "Would you like to go to breakfast?" And we've been together ever since. Yeah, so.
The best 20 years of my life. Yeah. Anyway, you've been a great audience. I want to say thank you very much.
Any questions?
We might have some time for a few questions. Yeah, sure. Rich, go ahead.
Tell us why all the boats at the starting line all had dark sails.
Well, they're made out of carbon now instead of Dacron. So the Dacron are the older school sails. They give a little bit too much. So the newer carbon sails are black, and they don't change their shape as quickly. So they're longer lasting, much more expensive, lighter weight. Each one of those sails costs maybe $20,000 or $25,000. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, first of all, when you're talking about, besides the move, did you just have a compass bearing to 230 or 260, or were you GPS? How are you navigating besides the move?
Yeah, so we had a compass, of course, and the compass light was on at night, but we wouldn't really stare at that, or we maybe glance at it from time to time. So we had our wind instruments. We're generally steering the boat with our wind instruments, keeping the boat going as fast as we can, generally in the right direction. So we'd follow the puffs or the headers, trying to make sure we are just keeping the sails trim and moving in generally the right direction, just getting the boat moving as fast as we could. So,
Who brought the boat back?
Wayne, the owner, brought the boat back, yeah. I don't think he started back. I think he's still in Honolulu. He's going to come back pretty soon.
Isn't he going to bring it back solo? too?
Yeah.
He's brought it back solo many, many times.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes?
Follow-up question. Does that mean that you guys are hand steering, and is that a race rule?
It is. So the sailing instructions require every boat to be hand steering the entire time. So even though we have autopilot on the boat, you're not allowed to use it. You have the autopilot for the trip home when you're shorthanded. But that's a big part of Transpac, is that every boat, every minute, every day, round the clock, has to be hand steered by a crew member.
Is there any kind of verification of that?
It's just the honor system. Nobody would ever, no. Yeah, yes, Peter.
Any celestial navigation?
Well,
There's a volunteer, and there's an award for it. A navigator will enter his boat, and he will do celestial, and he will record all of his numbers, turn it into a committee, and they will somehow analyze it, who was the best navigator. But there's usually like 4 or 5 boats, and then they choose one.
My first Transpac, and yours too, Barbara, all the boats had sextants. They were required to, somebody on the boat had to be proficient with their sextant. We actually had to take some noon shots and plot them out and show our position. We had to show our work, and that was required when you finished the race. The inspectors came down, they wanted to see those plotting sheets.
Yeah.
It's gone a long way since then with GPS and Starlink and Yellow Brick. Yeah.
So the big boats, how fast do they actually get the fastest boat?
Yeah, so the boat that won the Barn Door this year was Lucky, and they finished in just a little over 5 days. Yeah, by comparison, ours was 12 days.
Is that a trimaran?
No, it's a monohull. Yeah, but they have a canting keel. They have movable ballast. So what does that mean? So you have 2 water tanks that are midship and pretty high, and you can move the water from one tank over to the other tank. So you want to put the water on what's the high side to try to help right the boat up so you're not heeled over too much. They call that movable ballast. I'm sorry?
What's the average speed of that winter's crossing?
Not
The wind speed?
Knots. No, how many knots was it doing?
Well, I think the average wind speed this race was pretty light, 10 or 12 knots. Yeah.
How much speed through the water?
Well, our top speed I think was 15 knots. For Lucky, I think their top speed was in the high 20s, maybe 28. It's significantly more.
They had a different wind. They had a better wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, a little like strange story while I was waiting for Michael to come in. That you saw Mop 2 in the video. It's used to be called Compadres, 88 feet. It's got a canting keel. And you're going, yay, they're coming in. I have friends from Newport Beach on that boat. Well, there they go, circling around at the mouth of the harbor for 5 hours. They got in 11 in the morning. The sun's setting when they finally came in. They had somehow taken a wave overboard the night before, and it had ruined their electronics. Anything electric, they have a canting keel, and to come into LOI Yacht Harbor, they have to move their keel to one side. They're too deep. So for 5 hours, they ran a battery out to them, they ran a mechanic out to them to somehow get their electronics working to get that keel to swing to one side. And they eventually figured out how to hand crank it to one side, and then came in, so.
Yeah, Peter.
So what about Restless? Why did it, or what was its metrics?
They got a little bit lucky. They were lightweight. They only had 5 crew members. So every crew member, not just their own body weight, but their gear and everything else. They were in the first of 3 starts. All the boats in the first start had different breeze than the second and the third start, which was much, much lighter air. So they had good breeze. That first night and 2, they never stopped. They never went into that hole. They just kept going, and they sailed a really straight, good course. They got lucky on when to jibe and everything. They just made all the right decisions. The way you win a race is the boat that makes the fewer mistakes.
So the wind is not factored in if it's poor as a handicap?
No.
So the wind is...
They try to do that. So this year was the very first time they had a new rating to try to even the level the playing field between the 3 different starts. They called it corrected time factor or something or other. So based on what the wind was forecast to be, they gave you another little rating because of that. And I haven't heard yet if that worked out well or not for the race. It's something they tried this year to see if it would work. So I don't know. Yeah, Bob.
I saw that Pai Walker was in there with Disney. Is he still around?
He is.
Mai Tais is there.
Yeah.
A lot of money involved.
Yeah. So Roy Disney Sr., let's say, he passed away about 6 or 7 years ago. His son, Roy Pat Disney, has now raced in 26 Transpacs. And he's all in. He's going to do it every time. Paiwacket's the name of their boat, and they were in this race as well, too. He was in the video, too. I don't know, he had the beard, and he was saying, he's got sailors that have raced all around the world, and they always say this is a favorite race. That was Roy Disney. Yeah, question? Anybody else? Yes?
How do catamarans versus monohulls do in this race?
Well, there was a really fast catamaran. You saw that one there? It looked really sleek. That boat did very well. So that's what you call a racing catamaran. There was another catamaran that was more of a cruising catamaran. It was an all Polish team, and they just go along for the drinks.
They do.
But they had a really good time.
10 races in a row, and it's Castor Pollux, and they just have a good time. They don't care where they finish, but it's just a fun race. So the second boat to finish, actually, which started on the first start, was a double-hander called a Rihan. And I talked to those guys, and they said they just never slept. So after Lucky, that big boat with the 3 head sails, in came 2 guys.
Can you imagine doing this race
it.
double-handed, hand steering? Oh my God!
Yeah.
Hats off to those guys. That's really a remarkable.
Days ahead of time. 2 guys. Yeah. There is also a single-handed Transpac out there too.
Yeah. Last question right here. Go ahead. Say again. On pole size?
Hull.
Oh, hull
The length.
size.
The
No,
length of the boat?
the upper limit, there is no upper limit, but the largest boat that's ever raced Transpac was Rio 100, it's 100 feet. They do have a limit on how small it can be, and I forget, I think it's 28 feet.
Mark, do you know the smallest boat? It's something like
I think it's
28.
a Hobie 28, I think it was the
Yeah.
smallest boat ever to do Transpac. Anyway, you've been a lovely audience. I want to say thank you all very much. I know it was a long drive here. Appreciate your applause. Thank you guys very much. And aloha!
Roll 'em.